What's good, YouTube? It's Rage Real. So today's video, I want to show you guys is gun Deuce close mini scheme in Madden 24. So if you enjoyed this video, go and drop a like on the video right now. Go ahead and sub and turn on post notifications on. So first and foremost, I hope you had a great New Year's and a great Christmas. I am officially back from vacation, so I'm going to be able to roll out these videos a little bit more often. I appreciate you guys for always rocking with me. You have no idea how much I appreciate you. And also, if you're curious about any ebooks whatsoever, please visit my website, allthingsmadden.com. The link is in the description. So if you ever want me to make you a particular formation for an ebook, you can do all of that through my website as well, through the request the ebook page, and you'll see it when you go on there. So again, link is in the description. Now, this Deuce close, you can find this in two playbooks. You can find this in the Browns and also the Cardinals for the exact plays that I'm talking about in today's video. Now, a lot of you guys might not use the Browns or Cardinals playbooks, but I really love this Deuce close out of here. So actually I was on the wrong controller, but anyways, we're gonna take a look at this Deuce close, and I kind of want you to look at these plays. So what we're gonna look at is gonna be the lead read option, the RPO flat wheel, which is an extremely overrated play. A lot of you guys already know it. And we're gonna take a look at bench dig curl, and we're also gonna look at corners and go. And you'll see why we're looking at that in a second. So I'm gonna replace this both stick with this corners go right here, and you'll see why I like this and when I like to run it. But these are really the 4 plays that you need to just make this offense work perfect. You can really drive up and down the field. Now, there's other ways to use this offense. You don't have to just come out in this offense and run 4 plays the whole entire game. How I would personally use this formation, I would set up my audibles just as you see them here. And what I personally would do is I personally would just audible into this formation, and we'll talk about that in a second. So what I'm gonna do first is come out and post wheel. All right, so I kind of want to show you the audible. So you can go to, you can have single back. So if you want to run under center, if you like under center, you can run some single back formations. You can run basically that's it, just really just the single backs. So like the single back wing slot is a really great under center formation, which I probably will touch on here in the future. But you can run these, and also you can also play around with personnel too. So maybe if you want to try to get a maybe another tight end in here, or maybe another I believe you can actually sub these out for running backs. I haven't tried, but make sure you play around with that, because if you can play around personnel, you actually can get other people on the field. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to go over the run plays just so we can actually be all crystal clear. And remember, you want to kind of audible into this, but you can run this as your main offense. But anyways, this lead option is extremely good. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's just literally, you know, an option play. And the good thing about this play is if you've never ran Deuce close versus the gun, I can promise you win against it. I can promise you you've won against this particular run play. It's just a really good run play. I mean, I'm not going to break down this whole run play, but it's a read option, and this guy's normally going to come out. Not him, the tight end. I can't get on, but the tight end, you see number 88, he's going to come and actually kick out. He's supposed to kick out the end man right here, but they never do on Madden. So normally you're just going to be able to outrun him. So it's just a really good read option play. That's all I want to talk about with that one. All right. So next one is the RPO read flat. Again, this is just another RPO based play. Now there's a couple things I like to do on here. So I'm a firm believer in smoke and mirrors, and if you're not familiar with football terms, that just means making the same thing, making all your plays look the same as far as motions, but you're gonna have different plays out of those motions. So for example, in the next play we're about to talk about with the post play, I like to motion this guy out. Okay, so if you want to run your RPO, you can actually motion that guy out to make your opponent think you're passing the ball, and then we're actually going to turn around and run this right here. Now you don't want to do what I just did and just throw a pick, but it all depends on what that player does. Sometimes that player is going to overcommit to the run, sometimes they're going to go for the pass. It depends on what covers they're in, is what it depends on. So a lot of times you'll be able to just throw this right here right now if you're able to, and I'll show you that here in a second. And a lot of times you also can throw this ball right now. Now, a couple other sneaky things I like to do is, depending on what covers they call, sometimes you actually can just throw this tight end very quick, but you have to throw it quick. If you wait too long, you will get a penalty for a illegal man down the field, so please make sure. Now, you don't need to motion that guy out, so it just depends on what they're doing. As you can tell, a lot of times you'll be able to throw that little post, but again, you have to throw it quick. If you're going to throw it, please throw it quick. If you don't, I promise you, you're 10 out of 10 gonna get a penalty, and you're gonna be like, "Real, what are you talking about?" So, anyways, I want to show you just a couple things here with this RPO play that you might not have known. Now, the one thing you might not have known is you can throw triangle right there if it's like a 3rd and short type of play. That's one of those reads that I love to make. It gets over versus a lot of the coverages, surprisingly. Now that's one read I like to make. Now also a couple things I like to do is I motion this guy out wide just to make my opponent thinking I'm running a different concept, but we're gonna come back with the same exact concept. And again, as you can tell, I mean, it's you guys have seen this play years in, years out. I don't want to go over it. As you guys know, it does glitch out man coverage if they don't pass commit. So I'll just show you this here. So if you're playing somebody that plays heavy man coverage, this is why this formation is really good, because it's gonna force them to have to play man correctly, if that makes sense. Because as you know, this play is busted, and that's gonna happen every time if they don't pass commit. They have to pass commit, and the guys will actually guard it. So if somebody's giving you heavy man coverage, that's something you could try. Now, if somebody's giving you heavy man coverage and they're pass committing, this is when I start to open up these other pass plays. And again, I also like to keep running the ball. So first and foremost, I want to talk about corners and go, because this one's strictly for man. I only call this as a variation to try to attack my opponent's man coverage. So a couple things I like to do. So if you take a look at this, we actually have both our tight ends running basically in breaking routes, if that makes sense. So there's a couple things. So I like to just take circle and put him. I like to put one of the 2 receivers on a fade and then motion them out. So that's one thing I like to do. And then the other thing, I'll take the other receiver. So I'll put circle on a fade and I'll motion them out. And I'll take square and I like to just throw him on a zig. So we're gonna have this guy breaking inside, we have him breaking inside, and then we have an outside zig. So this way, if they try to shade inside, we have he'll be able to win if they shade inside, because this zig is gonna go outside. Now, if they shade outside, both of these routes are going to torch their man, and I'm gonna kind of show you that here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm shading inside. You guys won't be able to see it now, but I shaded inside. So technically we should be able to have square wide open because we shaded inside, even though that cornerback is, a great cornerback in Marlon Humphreys. It just, we'll be able to get a nice dot over there. But basically, with this kind of concept, you're just going to look to read for your tight ends. I love this versus the man blitz as well, because these are quick developing routes, and then we just keep the safety over the top. If they don't have a safety, then we like to put him on a fade just in case we have a good matchup, in case he can actually burn him. So whoever your best receiver is, like your fastest, I like to give him a chance on the fade. And then whoever your best route runner is, I would put on a zig versus man coverage. So I'm gonna kind of talk about man coverage for a little while, because this is realistically what you're gonna see. So let's go back to corners and go. And you technically can run it. Now don't mind the setup. It is corners and go, and we're going to do the same exact thing. Square on the zig, circle on a streak. Now you also can take square and motion them out, and then actually they don't let you motion snap, but I normally don't like to do zigs where I motion them out. But if you have somebody like a slot apprentice, then or outside apprentice, then this is actually great. If you have an outside apprentice, go ahead and put him on a post. Is one thing I like to do, and then we're going to have a high-low. So if you have an outside apprentice, please put him on a post. This setup is extremely good. I go ahead and show you right here, because we're gonna have underneath, and then we have a chance to take it over the top. But again, it just all depends on who you have, and it depends on what they're doing, their safeties. Okay, so if they're playing a too high man look where they're actually going to take their safeties and stay high, then this post isn't good. This post is only good if they're playing purples. If they're putting this guy in a purple, putting that guy in a purple, or they're just playing straight all-out man blitz, then this is a good play, because we're going to be able to block. We're going to be able to block 6 people, which normally is good enough for the blitz, and then we're going to be able to keep the user down low, because they're going to have to guard this. So a lot of times we're going to be able to have this post route if, as you could picture, there's no safety up top. And also keep in mind, this is just a bad matchup just because that's the best cornerback on the best receiver. So typically we wouldn't want to, try that. So you always want to base everything off your matchups. All right, so moving forward, that's kind of it with corners. It's just very, very simple. Now, we're gonna take a look at this post play, because this is one of the most important pass plays. So there's a lot of setups I like, but I'm gonna give you a couple that are my favorite. My favorite is gonna be taking square, put them on out route. We're gonna smart route his out route, and then we're gonna take our receiver right here, motion them over. Now, when you run this play, you want to make sure that you have whoever the post is, because this is a symmetrical formation, meaning that it's even on both sides. So we have 2 over here, and then we have 2 over here, and yes, the running back technically makes it uneven, but we're just going to look at, not the running back. So we have a symmetrical formation, meaning that it doesn't really matter what hash we're on, because as long as this receiver right here is to the short side of the field, we're going to be fine. So this is the setup that I love to rock, and I'll take R1 and actually put them on the curl. So this setup that you see right here will beat every single coverage in the game, and I'm going to go ahead and show you that real quick. So I believe this is cover 2. Yep, you can tell how they split. This is actually cover 2, and if they play cover 2, you're gonna have a one play touchdown literally every single time. And now this is how your read progression is going to go when you call this setup. All right, so you want to look here first. This is your first read right here, because normally you're going to see if the user wants to actually attack it or not. Right, so this is your first read. This is normally going to be your second read, depending on what the user does. Now if the user comes down low, then we're going to look up top. So both of these could be considered your first read. Now, I know you're probably thinking, real, you got two people in the same spot. Not necessarily, because if you're going to buy time, then a lot of times you have the user have to choose between these two, if that makes sense. If for some reason your post is not open, but this post actually gets in a great spot no matter what. And your last read that I like to make is going to be right here to hit that little wheel route. Now, real quick, I want to show you something with man coverage. So when you call this post play with man coverage, this little wheel route, if you put it to the short side of the field, so notice how the wheel route's to the short side, it actually does a really great job, and I'm going to show you that here. So smart route, squares route, put them on out route, smart route it, and then we're going to take circle right here. We're still going to motion them out, and I'm going to take R1. We're still going to do the same exact thing, literally the same exact setup. But I just want to show you X, because X actually, if you have a good route runner, he really can get open, and he's going to get in that sweet spot right there. So if they're playing heavy man coverage with a safety and is giving you fits, literally just run this, and make sure whoever's running this route right here is your tight end 1. You don't want to run this with your tight end 2, because he might not be good enough. Now I understand Njoku's a great tight end, so if you have a good tight end or a decent tight end, this is still a really good matchup, because if you throw it correctly, that safety will never get there, if that makes sense. So that's what I love to look at as a main primary read for man coverage. That route is just extremely good versus man. Now, one thing I want to show you right here is cover 4 drop. It's actually the hardest coverage to kind of throw on, but I want to show you how this setup fares versus it. And I got to go back in the play crawler screen and actually show you cover 3 as well. So this setup right here is going to be the same exact thing. We're going to look underneath if we want it, but what you notice is that we're going to have that gap there. Now, if they're playing cover 3 or cover 4, that gap will always be there, literally always be there. All right, so as you can tell, we can throw this route quick if we want it, and we have it quick because this corner route right here is going to push back any hook zones and any vertical hooks. That's just what they're programmed to do, and we're just basically exploiting that. Now, if they aren't playing zone drops, this guy isn't going to immediately go out there. So a lot of times you actually can have this route right here on the sideline for a nice sideline dot. So, and you can tell that our other receiver is wide open as well. So I'm gonna kind of speed this along, but what I want to do is actually go back to post wheel, and I wanted to come out in cover 3 because I wanted to show you, what it looks like versus a cover 3 style defense. All right, so one thing I need you to understand as well, with my channel, I don't show you guys 16, 17 setups and all that stuff. I like to show you about 4 or 5, but I'll go in detail about how to read and what you're looking for, because you don't need 16, 17 setups to win a game. I promise you that you don't. But right here, I just wanted to show you that if you run this correctly, you're going to have just anybody open that you want, just because this out route is actually in a great spot. And it's because of this out route zig combination, because if the only way this out route gets covered a lot of times is if they manually bring their guy out and just put him over here, because if they don't, because of this route concept, they're going to respect this little zig route first, and it's going to allow our receiver to have enough time to run away, from the coverage, if that makes sense. So I'll show you press 2 as well. Now what I'll also do is I'll put him out here, because some of you guys will probably be like, real, he's not gonna be right there, but realistically that he may be about right there. It all depends on formation, honestly, with how they line up. So don't worry about square. He is on the zig route. I mean, he is on the out route, and he is smart routed, but we're gonna go ahead and snap it right here so I can show you this. So anyways, I want you to look at square. Of course, I didn't have enough time, but we'll go and replay real quick and just kind of peep it. Okay, so if they actually are aligned correctly where they're supposed to with this purple, normally they'll see how he's still going to stay down low, but he's going to be able to climb a little bit, but you'll still be able to fit this ball right here, because they just are not going to let him actually just go and cover that fast, if that makes sense. So don't be scared to throw that. All right, So I believe so I wanted to show you, like I said, man blitz, we already know about it, so I'm just gonna show you regular man. And again, man blitz, you can literally run this corners play. You can run this corners play, like I said, block your running back. You can take square, put him on a zig, and then circle on a streak. And you technically can run it just like this. You don't need to motion him out. And you can also flip-flop it, so you can take square, put him on a streak, or you can take circle, put him on a zig. It all just depends on matchups. You just want to do matchups. So if you have a fast guy, put him on a streak. If you have a guy who's good at running routes, like Amari Cooper, put him on a zig. Give him the best chance. So again, that's the setup. I already went over that, but let's talk about this one, right? So I like to also take square and put him on a zig when I'm facing man coverage. And either I'll run it just like this to kind of confuse my opponent, or I'll take circle and motion him out, okay? So again, it looks similar to the corner setup, except for now we're gonna be able to hit that post if we want it, if that makes sense. So it's just gonna give our opponent a different look, because what's gonna happen is our opponent's gonna see this action right here, but he's used to seeing this, right? So he's gonna be expecting the same corner setup, and he might be playing somewhere inside of here already, waiting on Njoku to come back, you know. And also keep in mind, if we get a good route, he can actually win. We didn't get a good route ran right here, so we couldn't throw it, but this route can toast man coverage. It just depends on, it literally just depends, you know, on what type of animation they give Njoku when he comes out the gate. But anyways, last thing I want to show you is this bench play. So with this bench play, I love a simple but effective setup. And this simple but effective setup is just going to take triangle, put him on a drag. We're going to take X, put him on a drag, and we're going to block our running back. Lastly, we're going to motion this guy out. Notice how we're motioning the same guy every time, right? And I'll show you kind of why that's important after this play. So anyways, with this, the point of this play is literally just what it looks like. We're going to read both of our drag routes first, and then we're going to look up top. So this right here is a good kind of quick snap play. It's not a quick snap because we have to do adjustments, but you get the idea what I'm saying. Like, we're gonna have quick reads, not quick snap, but quick reads. So you're gonna read either drag, and this is good because both of these routes right here, this corner route and this in route, they're going to push back coverages. That's what they're designed to do. So when we have two routes that's gonna push coverages, we're gonna have two quick drag routes because they're pushing back coverage, if that makes sense. You see how he has to push back because he has to help out. That's going to open up this drag, just like this defender right here, he has to push up because we have an in route, so he has to sit in that gap. It's part of his assignment, even though he's responsible for outside. So that means we'll be able to have this quick throw right here to be able to catch it and maybe skate across the sideline, as you guys know how OP Madden is for that. So anyways, we're basically just abusing it. And also I love this for a different man variation. So if they're getting used to you running this corners play where you're putting them on zig, you know, where they're basically running the zig route, then that's where we're going to go to bench dig, and then we're going to run it this way, if that makes sense. And then we're going to motion them out, make our opponent think, what? Yep, you got it, that we're running the same exact thing. But in actuality, we're just looking to hit our drags first, you know, looking for that bump, because most of the time it's going to happen when they run bump and run man coverage, and we're just looking to exploit at that point. So it's a simple setup, but it's extremely effective. So anyways, let's see. I believe that's all that I wanted to show you. Now that is pretty much it for like the last 2 minutes or so. I actually want to do something in particular for you guys that are still here. So I did say every coverage, so I just kind of want to quickly run you guys what it looks like if you were to face match coverage. Because match coverage, you don't face it too often this year. Most people just literally want to sit in man coverage and just stay in man coverage, or they want to sit in cover 3, you know. You don't really face match too often, but when you face a match user, normally they're just gonna always stay in match coverage. It's really either somebody plays true cover 3, they play, you know, man coverage only, or they're gonna play match only, basically. And you have every now and again your wild cards who would just, you know, cycle through all of them, which I feel like are decent players. But I want to show you everything versus this one setup, okay? Now keep in mind, one thing I need you to understand, you can flip this play. So look what happens when you flip it. Notice that the only thing that moves is your running back. That is the only position. So what that means is you can mess with your opponent's head if you want to. So on plays where we don't have any motioning going on, you can literally just take him, motion him, and make your opponent think you switched it, but in actuality you didn't, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of things you can run with this little 3 combo right here, but that's another video for another day. I've already made this one pretty long, so we're gonna go ahead and flip it. I actually don't know which side the post is coming from, so we're gonna reset it because, like I said, for some reason my practice mode does it a lot to where they don't do it correctly. So anyways, this is gonna be super quick. I appreciate you guys that are still here, but I just want you to at least see what it looks like versus the different match coverages. Now I'm probably just gonna take the sack and just kind of show you, just you can see yourself what's open, if that makes sense. So I don't want to throw anything, I just want you to look and see. So that one right there was cover 6. Let me make sure. Yeah, that was cover 6. So let me show you against cover 4 palms. And I want you just to pay attention to who gets open. That's all I want you to do. Like I said, I'm not going to throw the ball at all because I just want you to see who all gets open. Now, most people play press when they're going to play match, so I will press. But here we go right here. And again, I'm going to buy some time just so you can look and see who gets open. So you can tell right there, we had R1 open, we had the post open. So when I tell you guys think that it works versus every single coverage, then I'm not joking. It literally will work against every single coverage that your opponent will throw. The only way stuff like this gets stopped is if they do like a custom coverage where they're just, you know, they're not playing normal coverage rules. And yes, I'm even talking about zone drop. You know, this play can definitely attack zone drops extremely well. So as you can tell, worst case scenario, you can always slide. And like I said, you will have that post every time you want it. But that's pretty much it. Like I said, man, this scheme is pretty simple. There's one more setup I want to give you for the guys that are still here, still rocking with me. All you want to do is take square, put them on a streak. And then you want to take R1, you still want to put him here. The only thing that changes is a streak, and you want to motion him out. So this is another setup I love. And it's basically the same concept, except for we're going to hit circle a little bit later down the field, if that makes sense. As long as we get time so I can show you. But anyways, you can tell right here, we're going to hit him later down the field. And it works versus every single coverage in the game. I wouldn't recommend running versus cover 2, but you definitely can, but I wouldn't recommend it. But basically, this is how it's going to look versus every coverage in the game when you run this setup. This streak right here is going to push back all of the DB, any deep zone DB. So like, you know, your deep halves, your thirds, your quarters. It'll push it back, and then that'll give us this dot right here, and it'll work versus every single coverage. In this running back route, user pretty much has to cover it between these two, or you're going to be able to have it almost every time because the quarters or the vertical hooks will just drop it off and nobody covers it. So anyways, really fire little mini scheme. I love it. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I answer all comments. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like. If you have any feedback, I'm more than welcome to hear it. So anyways, I pray you guys have a blessed day. I'm Ray Jarrell, and I'm out.